She was sitting behind me. Well, she wasn't sitting behind me, but the Winings was sitting behind me, and she was saying hello to them. And
Did she bump your
she was
seat?
bumping me, and you know, I was just like, I found it funny because I knew she was doing it on purpose. So I was just like, yo, can you stop hitting me in the head? And she was like, I'm sorry, Bobby. And I was like, damn, she knows my name. So, you know.
Were you surprised that she was interested in you?
No.
Why not?
I wasn't an ugly guy to not be interested in. I was sharp, famous, you know, and wanted by lots of women at that time.
Where did you take her for your first date?
We went to go see Uncle Buck.
Uncle Buck?
Uncle Buck, yeah. We both was big fans of Candy, John Candy, so we went to go see Uncle Buck, and we both enjoyed it, laughed, and had a good time.
First date kiss?
Yes. Incredible kisser.
So what was your first impression of her?
I noticed once we hung out that she was just cool. She was, you know, she was down to earth, and it wasn't about this Miss Princess thing. You know, she was a little G. She was down. She was, you know, she was cool. You know, really cool.
Very proper, sophisticated.
She was definitely sophisticated. When she wanted to be, she was definitely. I mean, she understood who she was.
Was it love at first sight, or was it lust at first sight?
Oh, that's a deep question. It was definitely both. She's a very passionate woman. I'm a very passionate man.
So when did you know with Whitney it was the real deal? That this is who you wanted to be with?
The way we talked on the phone, you know, the things that we had in common, you know. Unfortunately, we both smoked cigarettes, and we both smoked the same kind of cigarettes.
Were you surprised that someone with a voice like that smoked cigarettes?
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, because I was trying to get vocal lessons from her, and in the process of, you know, getting vocal lessons and trying to stop smoking, you know, I think we helped each other out with that, because we definitely put down the cigarettes for a long time after that.
How did you propose?
Oh, I proposed, she came to pick me up at the airport. I said, do you want to marry me? And she was like,
she said just like that. You want to marry me?
Yeah, you want to marry me? And she went crazy. Yes. She told the car to pull over. We pulled over, and she jumped, and we jumped, and it was just on from that point, you know.
How was she leading up to the wedding? Was she a bridezilla?
Bridezilla, definitely. You know, she wanted everything to be perfect. So I tried to just stay out of her way and let her do what she had to do, you know, to make it the event that she wanted to make it.
But bridezillas, they want to make sure everybody shows up on time. They want the food has to be right.
The most thing was the security and people being able to be overhead and take pictures. So she made this big plan with the big balloons up in the air, and, you know, so that they could not fly over the thing. So that was excellent.
Let's talk about the wedding day. What do you remember about that day?
That was a beautiful day.
Who was there?
Everybody. Everybody. I mean, everybody in the industry. Anybody you can name that's in the industry was there.
And what do you remember about Whitney?
She just looked like this beautiful, like, doll baby. Just beautiful. I mean, you know, she had this thing over her head, and all you could see was her pretty face and them eyes and a smile, and, you know, I just started crying. I didn't know what to do.
You cried?
I cried. And I was like, I wept.
You two got married amidst all the rumors and the whispers about you not being good enough for Whitney and this not being a great union. Did you sense that? Did anybody ever say that to you?
I sensed it, but, you know, someone else's opinion of me, really, I could care less about, you know.
Did you feel welcomed into her family?
Yes. Yeah, I did. To a certain extent.
Did you feel, when you got married, that Whitney's mother accepted you?
Yeah. I felt that way, you know. I didn't know she felt the way. I've seen her, you know, talk about this, and, you know, I didn't know she felt that way about me.
Felt which way?
The way that she talks about me now.
What do you think the issue is?
I don't know. To tell you the truth, I don't know what the issue is.
Do you still feel that Whitney's mother today thinks that you got Whitney addicted to drugs?
I hope she doesn't feel that. I don't know. I haven't talked to her.
It's almost like you're saying, what more can I say to make you believe me, but...
I don't think it's how much more I can say to make anybody believe me. I know the role I played in Whitney's life, and it's not the role that they think I played in Whitney's life, so...
Tell me the first time, Bobby, that you realized Whitney was using cocaine.
We was on a honeymoon, and I believe that's the first time I really saw her use.
Tell me what happened. Did you just walk into the room and she was using? What do you remember?
It's not like I mean, she didn't use like people want to think she used. I mean, it was side, you know. It wasn't like all day. It wasn't that. It wasn't that. When she did, it wasn't in excess. That didn't come till later on in our marriage.
The first time you see your wife with cocaine, were you surprised?
It wasn't about being surprised. It was just about, just don't abuse it,
Coming up,
He was in a bad way with drugs.
Bobby and Whitney in the throes of addiction.
It just started really destroying us.
How do you think Bobby Christina suffered during that time? When Bobby Brown, Remembering Whitney, continues. By the early 1990s, Whitney Houston was at the top of her game, dominating the pop music charts and racking up the awards. Her performance in The Bodyguard opposite Kevin Costner catapulted Houston to leading lady status in Hollywood. With husband Bobby Brown by her side, the pop diva turned movie star seemed to have it all. 1992, a huge year for you guys. You're obviously a celebrity in your own right, and you're married to one of music's biggest stars. And now she's about to become a movie star with The Bodyguard. Did either one of you realize the movie was going to be that big?
Yes and no, but not that big. I was just like, wow, this can be a big movie for you. And she was just scared of the acting part.
She was nervous about that?
Yeah, I was like, come on, you know how to read the lines, you know the lines. She nailed every part.
So when the movie came out, how was she handling the success?
Very well, very well. I mean, it was another notch on the belt of what she was capable of doing.
With so much of the spotlight on Whitney, Bobby, did you ever feel like you were in her shadow?
Never. I've been in groups. I've been, solo. I've done things with others that are way more talented than I am, and I have no problem with it because all I can do is learn from somebody greater than myself.
You never felt like Mr. Houston?
Oh no, come on.
When Bobby Christina was born, the dream came true for you and Whitney?
Yes, definitely. And then she had enough to look just like me, so it was just like, wow. Ooh. I used to always make fun of with Whitney, like, yo, look at how much he looked like me. But we loved it.
Would you say that was the best time with Whitney?
Yes, definitely.
It seemed to everybody that you and Whitney were living the American dream. What was actually going on behind the scenes?
There was a lot going on. Bobby Christina was growing up, but drugs started playing a big part in our life. And, you know what happens when people, start abusing anything. It all just started falling apart.
How did the drug use happen to increase?
We were both caught up in it, We had people bringing it to us. It was just high all the time, and it just seemed like it was a daily routine. It became daily. And it just started really destroying us, as far as our passion for each other, passion for life. That's what it started destroying. And still trying to take care of our daughter as much as we possibly could.
How do you think Bobby Christina suffered during that time?
Suffer? I wouldn't call it suffer. I would call it, we didn't neglect our child. We made sure that our child was in good hands, that we had somebody there to, look after her and protect her while we were doing our things.
What kinds of drugs were you using?
Cocaine, alcohol, weed.
The first time you tried cocaine, tell me about that time.
I think I was just, wanted to try other things, wanted to try something new.
Did Whitney give you the cocaine?
No.
Whitney did an interview with Oprah. She said things got really bad during this time period. Is your recollection the same?
It was after the preacher's wife is when things really got bad. I know I can only speak for myself here. I was introduced to you know, not crack, but base. And I started smoking it and marijuana. And things really got bad quickly after that. It just escalated really quickly. I started drinking hard liquor a lot more. Waking up in a bottle of, you know, cognac on the side of the bed, and the first thing I do is take a swig and smoke a cigarette, and, you know, and it just started getting really terrible for me. I had started using heroin because, you know, the coke was way too much for me. I could never sleep, and, you know, so I started using heroin after, and that's when it really got bad.
So what was Whitney doing during this time? How bad was it for her?
If it was bad for me, then it was bad for her, you know. It was in a bad way with drugs.
So you would see Whitney doing cocaine in the house?
We would be doing cocaine in the house, in our room.
Did Bobby Christina ever see you and her mother doing drugs?
No,
she
not
never
whatsoever, no.
But you do it together?
Yeah, we would.
Was there that moment where you and Whitney looked at each other and went, good Lord, what are we doing to ourselves? What are we doing to our family? We gotta pull this together.
There was a lot of times that we would do that. I mean, when you're in the stupor of being high, you know, you're always saying, man, I ain't doing this no more. Mm-hmm. This is it.
Mm-hmm. You and Whitney said that?
We would always say it. I mean, you know, it's always said, you know, with anybody with an addiction, you know, you promise yourself you'll never do it again. And you promise yourself you'll never do it again, but, you know, you don't realize that it's a disease, man. It's a disease, and we woke up a disease that was in our bodies already that it was hard for us to kick.
Coming up, Bobby struggled to save Whitney and himself.
I know what drugs do to the body. I stayed sober to try to help her.
And later,
I just started screaming.
The death of a diva.
I was in complete shock.
When Bobby Brown, Remembering Whitney, continues. Nearly 2 decades into her career, Whitney Houston was making headlines, but not only for her music. Canceled appearances, unpredictable behavior, and her disturbingly gaunt appearance fueled speculation of a drug problem. To promote her new album and set the record straight, Houston sat down with Diane Sawyer for an interview that would leave everyone talking. Why did Whitney decide to sit down with Diane Sawyer?
That is the million-dollar question. I do not know the answer to that.
She uttered the words, crack is whack. When you heard that, did you realize it was going to be as big as it was?
No. I thought she was joking. I laughed my tail off. I laughed so hard.
Why'd you laugh? What was it funny?
Because it was funny. She said crack is cheap.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that helped or hurt her image, though?
I think it hurt a lot. But, you know, when you're in it, you know, you make jokes on yourself, about yourself, and about, you know, the things you do, you know. It's just bad timing.
During that interview, she admitted to using cocaine and other drugs. Was that the plan?
I do not know, because at that point I was just in the fog. But as far as her business was concerned, mm-hmm. her people were handling her, and that's what was happening.
In 2000, Bobby spent 65 days in a Florida jail for violating probation on an earlier DUI incident. He says his time behind bars helped him get clean and off narcotics. I remember this video of you coming out of jail and Whitney running up to you, jumping on you.
Yeah.
She had her legs around you and her face buried into your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember about that moment?
It was a great moment. I mean, it was just good to see somebody, good to have somebody hold me, because in jail you don't get hugs. You don't give them either. So it was just good to see her face and to be out and to, you know, be able to go home. It was just a beautiful moment.
Tell me, when you went to jail, how did that affect your relationship? Because you guys were already dealing with so much.
I was able to, you know, get myself off of drugs. I was able to, you know, find myself again. And not knowing that I was going to come home to the same thing. So it just really put a strain on us at that time, because I was not using, and
you were trying to get clean.
I was trying to stay clean. And you know, she was still using. So, I mean, she would quit for a little while, and, you know, we would be happy again. And then, you know, for some reason she would go back to it.
Tell me, Bobby, during a certain point, there were tabloid rumors of infidelity in the marriage.
There was infidelity in the marriage, yes. Mm-hmm. On both parts.
You
Both
believe
of
Whitney
us.
cheated on you?
Both of us cheated on each other, period. So that's hard to swallow for both of us, I just think, when two people that love each other as much as we love each other, when they start drifting apart, different people come into the situation, into the scenario. And we make mistakes. People make mistakes. We're human.
There have been rumors that Whitney was in a relationship with a female friend. Do you know that to be true?
No, not that I know of, no.
You've heard those rumors before?
We heard them a long time ago, yeah. But no.
Not true.
Never, not true.
In 2001, at the Michael Jackson tribute, Whitney looked alarmingly thin.
It was the outfit.
You think it was the outfit?
It was the outfit. I mean, she wasn't... I told her that outfit is terrible. Whitney's always been a thin person. She's always been slim. That's what makes her so cute. She wasn't alarmingly thin to me.
Were you ever concerned about Whitney's health?
Always.
Why?
Always. Because, I know what drugs do to the body. I know what drugs do to the mind. Yeah, it made me worry a lot. But she was working on herself. She was working on it.
When we were seeing these public images of Whitney, people, once again, pointing the finger at you. Bobby Brown's the cause of all of this. Was any of that fair?
No, it's not fair, but, I was her husband. And I guess some people would think that, I could have done something. I did as much as I could do for the time we was together, She was my heart. That was my girl, And if there was anything more I could have done, trust me, I would have done it.
You talked about some family members still not sure about what happened and who got Whitney addicted to drugs. If you could talk to them and say, I did this to help get my wife off of drugs, what would that be?
I stayed sober. To try to help her. I went and did what I had to do for myself in order to be good enough to help her out. Maybe that wasn't enough, but it's enough for me. So I'm not really worried about what anybody else thinks.
Coming up, what happened behind closed doors that led to a 911 call?
Pow, she hit me. Pow, she hit me.
Did you hit hard? And revealing new details about their split.
I went to the courts. I tried to get it overturned.
When Bobby Brown, Remembering Whitney, continues. Bobby, tell me this. In 2003, police responded to a 911 call. Set the record straight for us. What precipitated the 911 call?
Oh, we were playing with each other, going crazy, just being us, crazy people we are. We was playing in slap boxing, and pow, she hit me, pow, she hit me, pow. And, I hit her a little bit, just, tapped her. But my niece called the police. She thought Whitney was serious, but we were just playing.
What do you mean by she thought that Whitney was serious?
My niece took it upon herself to call the police. But it was nothing. It was nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Did you hit hard?
Who? Did she hit hard?
Well, you say she hit you hard.
No, I didn't hit her hard. Not at all. No.
According to the police report, Whitney had a bruised left cheek and a cut lip. Bobby was charged with battery. Those charges were later dismissed. 2 years after the Diane Sawyer interview, Whitney checked herself into rehab. Were you happy that she finally did that?
Definitely. Definitely.
What did she say to you?
She just said she's coming out to California, she's gonna get some help. And I was flabbergasted,
Why were you flabbergasted?
Because it was time. That drug is not to be played with,
right. Were you able to talk to her while she was away?
Yeah.
What did she say?
Just back and forth, how good she feels, and, she's so grateful and thankful to God that she had made the right decision to go. She was turning back into the Whitney that I first met.
Yeah, she left, though, after 5 days. Did you support her decision to leave?
No, I did not.
When Whitney was out of rehab, you were out of jail. Seems like the perfect time to start a reality show. Being Bobby Brown,
Yes.
why did you want to do the show?
I don't know. My brother approached me with the idea to do it. I was living in Atlanta at the time, and really didn't have much to do, and it felt comfortable. I mean, Whitney was not supposed to even be a part of that. It was just supposed to be, my recovery coming from being incarcerated.
Had you and Whitney decided she wasn't going to be a part of it at all?
Yeah, we had decided that, but she just kept showing up. That's the funny part.
Why do you think she did?
She didn't want me to leave the house at that time. She never wanted me to go out. And she didn't want to be home by herself. So I got a kick out of the show. I thought the show was hilarious.
But the couple's on-screen antics fueled more speculation about drug abuse. Just a few years later, Whitney filed for divorce from Bobby Brown. How did you know it was over?
When she actually went through with it. I mean, when the papers came to me, and I was at a Chinese restaurant, and somebody called me on my phone and was like, we have this check from such and such and such and such. I was like, a check? And I was like, all right, well, if you got a delivery person, just have them deliver it to this Chinese restaurant that I'm at. And they delivered it, and that's when I got the papers.
You got served with divorce papers in a Chinese restaurant?
Yep, Chinese restaurant. Don't go there. You get served with papers.
When you opened it up, what did you think?
I was hurt. I was basically mortified. I was just like, wow.
Surprised.
So, yeah.
Very surprised. You
Very,
didn't see it
very.
coming.
I did not see it coming. I thought we was trying to work things out. So I tried calling her to talk to her, and, this was at a point where I guess, whoever was advising her told him not to talk to me.
Why do you think Whitney wanted the divorce? What was the one thing? You had been going back and forth so many times. What do you think it was that made her say, okay, this is it?
I could not tell you that. I could not even begin to understand why. I went to the courts. I tried to get it, overturned. I want to try to talk, go to counseling or whatever. But that's not what, her people wanted for her. So it was straight divorce. Yeah. She got all of everything, and
You mean what do you mean she got all of everything?
everything. I mean,
Property, everything.
jewelry, cars, everything.
You left the marriage with nothing?
With nothing. I left with, my sobriety, and I left with my heart intact.
Coming up, Bobby Christina's emergency room scare
That's the scariest part.
and the drama at Whitney's funeral.
I'm not going to put my kids through this.
How did you tell Bobby Christina that you weren't going to stay for the service? When Bobby Brown Remembering Whitney continues. In February of 2012, Whitney Houston arrived in Los Angeles to attend that year's Grammy Awards. But a day before the big event, shocking news.
Singer Whitney Houston has died in Los Angeles.
Houston is found dead in her Beverly Hilton hotel bathroom, leaving an industry reeling and those who knew her devastated. Bobby, Whitney's death came as a shock to everyone. Where were you when you found out?
I was actually on tour, performing, and it was after a sound check, and me, Ralph Tresvant, and a couple of friends went to grab something to eat at a restaurant before the show. And Ralph came in, and he was like, "P, I gotta talk to you. Come outside." And I was like, I didn't know what was going on, and he told me.
Did you believe it?
I didn't believe it at first. And then I immediately called my daughter, and she told me.
What did she say?
She said, "Yeah, Daddy, Mommy's gone." And I don't know. I I just started screaming, and heart felt like it had dropped out of my body. I couldn't. I don't know. I was in complete shock. Just crying and crying and crying, and Ralph grabbed me, and I was just crying, and so I was trying to find a way for me to get from where I was to Los Angeles, back to Los Angeles.
Because you needed to be with your daughter.
I needed to be with my daughter, and there was no flights leaving out. I tried to charter a plane. There was no way for me to get out. and even wanted to cancel the show, and some told me, you know, you have to continue what you're doing, you gotta perform. And I went and performed. I did perform that night.
Nobody would have blamed you if you canceled the performance.
But she wouldn't have wanted me to cancel.
So you took the stage.
I took the stage and performed that night.
Tell me about the words you said to Whitney when you were on stage. You said, "I love you."
I did, and I do.
As a father, when you knew that your daughter was there in the hotel when her mom died, that must have just destroyed you.
Yeah.
What were you thinking knowing that Bobby Christina was there?
It hurt very much to know that, you know, she actually saw her mother, you know, like that.
The morning after her mother died, Bobby Christina was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. How was she doing during those days? I mean, I can't imagine the weight that was on her.
That's the scariest part, you know, when being under a microscope at that time, my daughter needed time away from everybody just talking and asking questions, and
The hospital was probably the safest place for her to be.
definitely
To get away from
all of the madness.
everything.
Yeah, from all of the madness.
You went to the funeral. You were invited to that by the family, but you left early. I want to set the record straight because there have been so many rumors about why you left early. Tell me what happened.
Well, I got there with my kids, you know, Landon, Laprencia, Bobby, and we were told to sit in the second row, which would have been behind Bobby Christina, and we sat there, and the next thing I know that they have security coming to me telling me that only I could sit there and my kids had to move to the back. And before anything got out of hand, I decided that I'm not going to put my kids through this.
You felt it was disrespectful.
It was definitely disrespectful. It was no part on the family. It was just security. So I decided to leave.
Were there words exchanged? I'm not moving.
No, I wouldn't disrespect the memory of Whitney like that. So I decided that I just kissed the casket, and me and my kids, we left.
You had to make a hard decision. Your daughter's sitting right in front of you. She's in pain.
She wasn't there yet.
She hadn't arrived.
She hadn't arrived. She was still outside in the car. But the security was so tight. I mean, they wouldn't let me walk up to the car where my daughter was.
How did you tell Bobby Christina that you weren't going to stay for the service?
I wasn't able to talk to Bobby Christina at the time. She didn't have a phone on.
You talked a little bit about, at this point, the relationship with her family. Not where you want it to be. What would you like to happen?
With her family, with her brothers, things are just fine.
It's the mom, though.
I would love to give her a hug.
Yeah.
You know, I would love to just give her a hug and let her know that I miss her just as much as she does. And that I'm sorry for how she feels about me. I am not a bad person. I loved your daughter tremendously. I loved her with everything that I had. And, you know, sometimes we, you know, love a person so hard that we're loving them wrong. And maybe I did that, but I wish she was here so I can say sorry.
Coming up, how's Bobby Christina coping with the loss of her mother today? Bobby opens up about his daughter, his sobriety, and the legacy Whitney left behind. When Bobby Brown, Remembering Whitney, continues. "19 albums, 11 #1 singles, 7 consecutive multi-platinum albums, an unmistakable voice and a talent both extraordinary and rare. But her professional achievements aren't her only legacy. Whitney Houston also left behind a daughter, Bobby Christina, now finding her own way without her mom. How's Bobby Christina coping with the loss of her mother today?
She's doing her. She's a strong girl. She's strong like bull. Some days are good, some days are bad.
Yeah.
But for the most part, she remembers her mom in such a beautiful way that I wish everybody could just see, you know, how she knows her, how she remembers her mom.
Yeah.
How do you miss a person? You don't miss a person for the bad things they do. You miss a person for all of the good that they've done in this world.
Right.
And Whitney has done so much good in this
Yes,
world.
she is. This is somebody that you love for many years, still love today. Do you feel that the support system around Whitney failed her?
Things happen in life. You can work as hard as you want on yourself and still this demon can catch you. And so I couldn't point a finger at anybody and say that, you know, the system, her support system, or anybody that was around her failed her, because it wasn't about that. It was about if you're being chased by, you know, a gorilla, and you get caught in a